the beginning of my now 8 years experience as a full-time trader, I spent years jumping sources, trying different ways to become a profitable trader. And ironically, it felt like the more information that I learned, the more confused I got. But after 3 years of this, I finally had my big aha moment in my trading and strategy, where I completely stepped back, approached it in an entirely different way that finally allowed my trading to take off. Okay, I found it way more productive to approach the markets in a systematic, simple, repeatable process where I find key areas of high opportunity in the market to be able to take several trades a day, which allows me to continue this process to compound those gains over time and create an income machine for myself. For example, in one of my last trading sessions, I found my key areas to buy in based off of my system rules that allowed me to play into the movement of the market and strategically take profits at key areas of the market to lock in several $1,000s of profit in a single trading session. And the best thing about this is I can set this up during the day, follow my simple trading session checklist, and then let the trades completely manage themselves. So in this video, I'm first going to explain to you that aha moment and show you a checklist infrastructure that you can follow to make sure that you're starting at that point and you're not wasting years of your life the way I did. Then I'm going to show you tons of real world examples of me taking these trades and what exactly I'm looking at when I enter, so that you'll be started off on the right foot and hopefully be able to start applying some of this to your own trading. Okay, so if that sounds good, make sure you hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you like trading and investing, and check us out on Instagram and Discord. We have an amazing trading community. Okay, so in order for us to understand the exact route to profitability, I'm going to show you my AHA profitability strategy, which is a 5-step process you can basically apply to any trading strategy to be able to waste zero time and keep yourself completely dialed in and have the fastest path to profitability. So after 8 years of trading, no matter how you cut it, this is exactly what you need to know in order to be successful. If we boil trading down to its simplest form, all we're trying to find is repeatable patterns over time where we quantify two major things. The first being our average risk reward ratio. So if we're risking $100 to make $300, that would be a 3-to-1 risk reward. Okay, the second thing is going to be our average winning percent. So when we make those decisions in the market, what percentage of the time are we making the $300 and what percentage of the time are we losing the $100? And you'll notice there's different combinations of these risk rewards and winning percentages that will put you in a loss, break even, or profitable state. Okay, so if you're risking $100 to make $100, you need to have a 50% win rate to break even, and then anything over 60% is going to put you in a profitable state. If you can find situations in the market where you're risking $100 to make $500 and you can be right even 20% of the time, you're still going to be in a profitable state. Risking $100 to make $400, 20% will break even. So this is going to give you all the possible combinations. But realistically, this is all we're looking for in the trading world. So this is the checklist of things that we need to do in order to do that. Okay, so first thing that we need to do is find a repeatable pattern and observe it. So say, for example, we're able to find big areas where there's a push in the market followed by a pullback and then a continuation based on certain indicators and strategies. This can put us in a position to be able to buy in here, close the trade out for full profit here, while quantifying our risk down here. Okay, once we notice a repeatable pattern in the market, the next thing you need to do is set your initial rules based on the observation. Okay, so enter when you see this and set your take profit here and stop loss here. All right, and by setting up this rule system, you're able to isolate variables and figure out what's working and what's not. This is where most people completely screw this process up. Okay, so people have an idea, they see it works over a little bit, and then they start trading it with real money or trying different things. Or one of the biggest ones is people will try a system in the market, it'll stop working, they'll hit say 5 trade losses in a row, and then immediately go to tweak their system, and they're not following the next steps of this system that I'm going to show you, which is exactly why this is probably the key to profitability. Okay, you don't want to do that. That's how you're going to waste a ton of time. And this is the sort of rat's nest that people end up putting themselves in when they're learning trading. You want to stay away from that. You need to go based off of data only, and you need to completely remove the element of guesswork in this process. Okay, the fourth thing is going to be to test and collect data. This is an example that I did here testing a Solana scalping system. And in this first round of testing, you really don't need to collect so much data. You just need to get a general idea of if the system's going to work, and also keep track of the risk factors. So whether it's a 3-to-1 risk factor, 4-to-1, 5-to-1, you can just take note of this when you see this on your trading view chart. So for example, over this period of time, which was 2 days, I had a total of 41 trades, 21 losses, 20 wins. So actually lower than a 50% win rate, but considering that we have a higher risk reward, okay, we ended up 9 risk factors. Okay, so looking back to our table, these right here are going to be our risk factors. So say we were risking $100 on this system, over 2 days, risking $100, we'd be up over $900 following this system. Okay, this system isn't fully developed yet, but this is something that we're working on. So make sure that you're staying tuned in the Discord. We're going to be updating you guys as well. But this is just an example of backtesting. Okay, so once you test and collect the data, you go back into there and see if you can start adding things to remove some of the losses and keep the winner. So once it's profitable, this process starts over where you observe patterns and then you go through the same exact process again until you feel like you've refined it to the point where you're not making any progress and you can't think of any way to improve it. And maybe it's the most profitable system in your arsenal. So then you decide you want to move forward with this system. Okay, which brings us to step number 3. This is going to be something called a bar replay test. Now, it's a little bit different than just going on the chart and finding these pattern setups, because now instead of just trying to find these setups once we see the entire complete chart, we're actually bringing the bars back to a period on the chart where we don't remember what happened and playing these forward to test our decision making to get an idea of what the more realistic results of us finding these trades in real time and taking them would be. So after you see the profitability of that system, this is where you want to take it to the next layer of testing, which is going to be you actually trading this, but on a paper trading account so that you can practice executing these trades with whatever exchange you're trading, whatever type of instrument that you're trading, to be able to see if these theories are still holding true when you put this into practice. Okay, keep in mind, it's normal to have diminishing returns on this process. So what looks really good conceptually looks slightly less good when you bar replay, slightly less good when you go to trade it on paper. And then when you go to trade in the real markets, it's also going to be slightly different. But the goal is to have a guiding light so that we're not wasting time bouncing around random ideas that don't actually work, wasting money, wasting time, ultimately leaving you in a really frustrating situation. And then assuming that this process is still working for you, this is where step 5 comes in, where you set a starting balance up on your trading, you pick a scaling strategy, maybe you saving up some capital, and you start actually trading this in real sessions. And then once you move into actually trading this, or even on your paper trading trials, this is the trading plan that I follow on a daily basis, which has my journaling down here for me to keep track of all of the trade inputs that I do, as well as this daily checklist of things to follow and make sure that we're following all the rules of the trading session. And so the system that I'm going to be showing you today has been through this process and rigorous data testing, as well as put into practice in the real world. So let's get into the fundamentals of the system that I trade most of the time that's been through this vigorous testing process. So the whole goal of this system is to be able to find a new trend in price like this, wait for small pullbacks in the market, wait for a few indicators to give us a buy signal, and then we enter on these dips, allowing us to play into the continuation of this trend. And you can see all of these examples here would be the trades that would be entered based on the system criteria. So you can see over about 6 hours worth of time, we could have taken 4 full profit trades just trading one trend in the market. And this is the exact thing that our private team members as well are working on. You can see Bink went 4 for 4, some with the smart alert trades, which are the trades that are automatically put out on our Discord based on trading algorithms, which is really cool. You can see Blue on a Solana strategy got 9x on one trade by holding it. So basically 9 risk factors. So risking $100 made $900 in profit. Okay, and the goal with this is to follow the session checklist, track your data so that you know exactly how you're performing. So there's 3 main tools and indicators that we're going to need before I start showing you examples of these trade setups. Okay, the first is going to be a custom indicator that you can get in the InevitTrade trading suite in the description of the video. Okay, it's one link. It'll give you access to a whole Notion sheet with all of our tools, but it's going to be called the InevitTrade Foundation Indicator. And what this is going to add to your chart is a 20, 50, and 200 day exponential moving average. You'll also see these gray patches here, which is going to show us the time where the New York Stock Exchange opens. This is when the market tends to whip around and act crazy. Okay, the next thing that we're going to need is a custom fib, which you can set up right on TradingView here by clicking on fib retracement, going into your settings and adding all of this criteria. So that's going to give us a fib setup like this. And then the third thing that we're going to need is this custom calculator that we designed for you guys. So you'll see you have your entry price here, which is going to be this value. Okay, this dip by 1 will be this level, dip by 2 is this value, stop loss right here, and the take profit value right here. So now let's get into a real world trade example where I'm first going to show you my mindset into this setup. Then I'm going to show you me executing this in real time so that you know that I'm not just saying these things after the fact and not actually doing them. And you'll be able to see the thought process behind my strategy. There are some extra details about this system. Okay, I'll link that at the end of this video. So first thing that I'm going to do is go onto my trading view and switch to a 3-minute time frame, which means that each of these candles is showing me 3 minutes worth of price data. The second thing that I'm going to do is wait for these gray zones and use this horizontal line tool to mark the highest that the price went during this gray zone, as well as the lowest point. And then all I'm doing is waiting for the candle to either break out and have a candle close over this high or over the low here for me to pick the rough general direction that I want to try to trade the trend in for that session. Okay, so you'll notice this was our high mark. We got this candle to push it but not break it. Then we finally got a high point here to break out before getting a sell-off in the market. So generally I knew that I wanted to trade the market to the upside. So the next thing that I'm going to do is wait for all of my moving averages to be moving in the right direction. Now I chose the lowest point on this overall trend to play the pullback in this moving move here, but a rule of thumb that I like to follow is at least find the most recent pullback underneath before all the moving averages were layered on top of each other, which turns them all green. So the next thing that I'm doing is waiting for a significant pullback in the market, clicking along this high and going back down to our low point here. Okay, and as this trend continues to move up, you'll have to keep readjusting your fib, but eventually you'll get a deep enough pullback for you to actually be able to start entering these positions. Okay, so in this situation, you see the price comes down, breaks through this entry. I think in this situation, I actually got a little bit lower of an entry. I think I entered somewhere around this point, then the price chops around sideways for a while. Okay, once we get back to the entry zone, this is where we're going to be plugging in these values on our calculator. So if this is a long example, we'll click on the long button here. We'll put in the account size that we want to start with. So say you're trading with $1,000. You'll put this value here, which is 138.61. You'll put all of your dip buy levels as well as your stop loss value and your take profit value. And that's going to show you exactly how many quantities to buy at each point and what your expected profit on the trades should be. Okay, so if we play the trade forward, you can see it chops around our entry zone here. So right now our take profit is up here. We have an average price here and our stop loss underneath this local low on the trend. So if this completely breaks trend and stops trending in the direction and cuts through all of our dip buy levels, we're going to have a calculated max risk at this zone. And a little bit closer towards the end of the video, I'm going to show you some extra things that I look at to really make sure that I'm avoiding these losing situations and picking the best setups. Okay, but as you're going to find out, this system, you can find a bunch of trades during the session. This is how the people on the private side of the team are scaling the accounts at the rate they are, and how I'm currently on a 23 win streak with this system, which has essentially allowed me to almost double my entire trading account of about $20,000. Okay, so trade continues to move up, comes back down to entry, almost fills our secondary dip buy level, but misses. So we're still only in at our average price. Okay, then you'll notice the price comes up perfectly, takes us out for full profit right at our 1.272 level before reversing. This is the power of doing backtesting. We figured out what the most probable areas on these trend continuations will reach before turning around, and we based all this off of data instead of just something that we're thinking in the moment, which has allowed us to take profits at completely perfect levels. So if we look at this trade once again happening in real time, we get in a little bit underneath our first dip buy level, almost gets us filled on that secondary dip buy level, starts trading sideways, and then once the London session opens, okay, we got increased volatility, price started moving up. You can see we're up $1,100, $1,300, $1,500, and then pushes up over our take profit level for about $1,700. Okay, and this trade happened in a matter of several hours. So just by following the trend, I was able to make $1,700 fairly quickly, and that's what I love about this process. So let's take another look at an example on a Solana trade. This is also a long. You'll see we have a broken trend, fresh move to the upside. I have all my analysis drawn here where I just entered into the market right here. Price dips down into our first dip buy level, and then you'll notice this is exactly where the price started to flip. So as soon as our dip buy level is achieved, now our new take profit is going to be moved down to this zone, and you'll see we're up $800, $900 at this point. All right, and we were able to close that trade out for right around $1,000 just off of this small market move right here. Okay, so the way we've set this calculator up and done all of the math is now our new take profit is going to move from this point down to this point. So if we look at our previous Solana trade, for example, if this candle had moved slightly down lower and been able to fill us on this first dip buy level, our average price would go from starting from here to moving somewhere around here, and now our take profit would be right around this area. So all the price would have to do is reverse a little bit, come up to this zone, and be able to get us out for full profit. Okay, so this is the basics of the system. What I was going for in this trade was actually taking the original take profit, which would be up here, but having more size down here. So if that had been the case, instead of making around $1,000, I probably would have made around $5,000 to $6,000 within a couple hours time. This is really the power of the system, and what drives me forward to be able to test this data and be really motivated is the fact that I could potentially make more than what most people make in a month in 2 hours just by mastering this process. So it's really exciting. This is why we love trading. Okay, and then the same thing, had this have moved down to this dip buy zone, now our average price would move down to here, our take profit would move to here, and all we would need, even if this completely reversed and changed directions, is for a small move to the upside to be able to get us out before coming down to this zone, which is why what I'm going to show you a little bit later in the video is going to be so important, because we're going to want to really increase the odds of us getting that bounce to get us out of the trade to avoid some of those losses. So now that you understand how the system works, let's go back over to the daily planner. This is going to be the added confluences I was talking about to increase the chance of having a good win rate. So after I do my pre-session analysis, which I explain how to do in a video that I'll link in a card right here, when 11 11:30 rolls around and our New York session ends, I'm going to click on this and I'm going to open up my trading session TCL checklist. And this list not only is going to show me all of the steps that I just showed you, but also give me a systematic approach to finding confluences and ways to find the best setups on maybe similar charts. All right, so we marked the high and low of our New York session. Smart alerts are the alerts in our Discord. These trade ideas, once you learn how all of this works, to be able to use the smart alerts to find these setups as well. I'm not going to get into that right now. Okay, and then determining the best price action on the watch list. I have a list of coins that I like to trade. Now I'm trading cryptocurrency, so I keep all of my favorites on this one list. But as we get trends in the market like this one that we just traded, there's going to be a lot of pairs that have very similar moves because most of them are going to follow generally the same pattern as the session trades. The whole goal of this is to use added confluences to be able to take the best trade setups we can find. So one of the big ones that I focus on is making sure I find trends that have choppy price action. If we look at this move in the market, this doesn't really have a lot of back and forth. It's just a really sharp move to the downside, which oftentimes is going to completely whiplash in the other direction and not really give us that opportunity to be able to have these bounce points to get in and out of the market. Okay, if we look at this trend over here, we have all sorts of back and forth movement on this trend, which gives me the confidence that even if this doesn't pull down and continue to move up to my take profit, that the following price action will somewhat mimic this price action and allow the price to be able to chop in and out and also get us out for a full profit trade. Okay, another thing that I like to look for is whether or not something called a Fibonacci retracement is going to match up with the previous price action on the trend. So if I click from this low point up to my high point, okay, you can see we have these key levels here: 61.8, 78.6, 38.2, 23.6, and our 0 level. Okay, what I really want to see is the previous technical analysis matching up with key levels over here. So you can see on our 50 level, we got a response. We got heavy resistance in this point where the price bounced off my 23.6 value, which is indicating that moving into the future, we should be able to get a significant bounce point off of our 61.8, which is right at our first dip buy level, to get a continuation of the trend and get us out for full profit. If it respects the previous price action, there's a high chance that it's going to respect the new price action moving forward. Okay, my third confluence has more to do with Elliott wave theory. I also break that down in more detail in the tutorial video that I'm going to put at the end of this video. Okay, but essentially what I want to do is avoid longing into the 5 wave of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave pattern. So if we sort of scroll out to a larger time frame, you'll notice we got a big push down in the market followed by a new move up to this side. So knowing that trends typically move in 5 wave structures like this before having a move to the downside, something like this, I'm trying to make sure that I'm not longing into the high of a potential 5th wave. So going out to a larger time frame, something like a 15-minute frequency, you'll see off of this new trend break, this is probably our 1 down to 2, and we have a continuation of our 3 wave, which means that I'm avoiding getting in at areas where the macro trend could reverse, allowing for the price to completely break down this zone. Okay, so once again, just like how we set up with our Fibonacci's here, we input our orders, manage the trade as it went, and then the last step is to input this data into our tracker. So once this step is done, I can hit next setup. This is going to open up my next checklist for my next trade. Then if I close this out, I can go over here and input all of my data into these sliders. Okay, so I can put the day, the coin, the system type, the time frame that I'm trading on, whether it was long or short, the win, any other details, as well as the P&L. And then if we open up this slider, you'll see we also can put screenshots of the exact trade that we took. So when we're looking at the comparison between the winners and losers, we have all of our data right here, which can allow us to see exactly what we did with the trade and correct any issues that we see in our trading. Okay, I'm going to give this journal to you guys in the description of the video for free. It's going to be in the trade tools, and you can go in here and play around with it, customize it however you like for yourselves. Okay, if you want more details on this, you can watch my previous video where I break down exactly how I use this journal. So now let's take a look at another example here on Solana, where I use my daily checklist to be able to follow the system to a T. Now the system also works to the downside, so if we can find the same exact pattern but the price is moving down, we can short into the markets and also follow this. So you see I have my checklist pulled up. This is slightly different. This is an older version before I built out the entire daily checklist on Notion. Okay, but you'll see I have my trend established. I have my entry level, my dip buy levels, and my stop loss over this high with a fresh trend break. Okay, so this is me doing the analysis in real time and marking all the important levels. Okay, so you'll see we're in a short position right underneath this trend break on this new trend, hoping to break this local low. And then price ends up rejecting off of this low. You'll see I'm following my daily checklist, moving up, filling our first dip buy level, coming all the way back down into full profit. Now I was being aggressive with this trade, so I could have taken this off for $1,500, but I really wanted to see if I could attack full profit and make like $5,000 or $6,000. If it came up to my second dip buy level, I'd get out as normal, and that's exactly what happened. So price comes back up, fills our second dip buy level, back down, fills us out for about $1,100 on this trade and gets us quickly in and out. Okay, another example on AVAX, we have our lowest point, highest point, stop loss underneath this low. I'm following my checklist. We're in a long position at our first entry point. Price comes down, hits off of our 200-day moving average, and then comes back up to our full take profit and ends up getting us out for around $1,200 in and out on this trade off of a nice dip buy. So feel free to download all the resources, watch this back a few times, and then just turn on bar replay and go to a random part on the chart. You don't even have to input the orders. You can just draw the custom fib settings and be able to see how many trades in a row you'd get right. So for example, I have all my EMAs lining up. I'll draw my fib from this point down to here. I would have bought in first at this point, second at this point, and the price ends up getting me out for full profit right here. So I can just click on this text button and do one win, play this forward, mark my session high and low. We don't get a close above this high. So now we get a close on the low. So now we can start shorting into this trend. So we really want to wait for this level to break. Okay, that would have already been full profit even if we didn't. Okay, so this is an extremely big move. I wouldn't trade. Okay, so no trades on that session, which is completely fine. We have our high, low point marks. Okay, we break to the upside. So now we can start following for a trend. Okay, so I can drag my fib from here down to this low point, entry here, full profit. Okay, so once again, off of this high down to this low, entry price here, full profit. Okay, so you get the point. This is how you can really start testing your system and really training your brain to know what to look for to be able to get that really, really efficient state of trading and be able to scale your accounts like crazy. But I just wanted to give you a framework to follow, show you the system that I've been trading, and show you how to overall optimize your system, and more importantly, show you the fastest, most simple, no BS way to actually become profitable without wasting tons of your own time. If you're still here and you feel like this video helped, make sure you hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you like trading and investing. All the resources are below. Check us out on Discord and Instagram as well. If you want more details from this video, I'm going to link them in cards right here. But until next time, I will see you all in the next video.